celebrating small wins, celebrating daily progress rather than waiting for massive results. That's what keeps the engine running. So I know too many people who want to do it so big, whereas big is not bad, but don't be afraid to start small. Don't despise the day of small beginnings. This house started with 7 people and a dream in somebody's head. Consistency must be chosen over intensity. Daily small disciplined actions are more powerful than occasional high effort bursts. Clarity is critical because you need a clear, prioritized path which enables you to take the right actions without getting overwhelmed. Start small, build the team small. Yeah. Don't give people big titles. Start with no title. Yeah, and see if they're ready to do it and how well they do at it, and help to teach them to do better with it. Hallelujah. And with time, the cream will always rise to the top. Commit thou, not to Tom, Dick, and Harry, not to a novice. Commit thou to faithful men who are able to teach others also. Instead, failure momentum is different. Failure momentum is characterized by stagnation, friction, and compounding setbacks. When a movement or an organization or a business is succeeding, the success is like oil to the relationships on the board, on the team. But where there's no success, the pie gets smaller and the beneficiaries of the pie start fighting each other because there's less to go around. But when there's surplus, the friction is eased by the oil of attainment. You understand? Yeah? And friction is often an indication that some of the people on the team are wrong, or that there's something wrong somewhere. So the cycle of failure momentum, it could be started by a mistake, or failure triggers hesitation or negativity in attempting to kill the lion that beat you last time. And you start procrastinating. Whereas opportunities of the lifetime must be seized in the lifetime of the opportunity. Or inaction causes the cycle of negative or failure momentum. And that leads to more failures, which further compound and erode confidence. The key drivers in failure momentum: the restart gap, that you have to go back to the start again, rather than going from the last level of attainment, which is like wind in your sails. And the longer you wait to take action after a setback, the heavier the inaction becomes, making it harder to start again. Or what we call analysis paralysis, or procrastination. Overthinking, fear, or a lack of clear goals leads to freezing, which stalls progress. When we set out to build this building, we didn't set out to finish the building. We set out just to fill the waterlogged area with sand. That was a big achievement for us. And for us, it was like the first day of creation. We said, it is good. And we clapped our hands. We rejoiced. We celebrated. We had a tent service next door. Then it was time to put the perimeter wall. That in itself was a heavy cost across all 3 properties. We celebrated that. Then we paid them a huge amount of money to give us a foundation. And to us, that huge amount of money was 52 million naira. At the time, I think it was Trevi Foundation or Foundation that was the contractor. He came and he said, I don't know what it is about you guys, but I'm going to give it to you for 52 million. Its proper cost at the best I could give you would normally be 250. I said, it must be God. Let's sign quickly. And we signed, and it was done. When he started to build, they were building, but we couldn't see anything coming up. It was the piles, 400 and something piles going deep down. And yet our money had gone with it. Then the next milestone came and we had to pay for that. And then the only thing we saw was ground beams on top of pile caps. I said, let's go and celebrate. We had a service here. Then they finished this floor, which was the roof, to the ground. You are enjoying air conditioning now. You didn't help us to pay for it all. We know them that were here at that time. Hallelujah. We had a service in the heat, but for us, after the sweat had come and it cooled us down, it was free air conditioning. We had a wonderful service. And then my mother came to visit. When she got here, it was her first time. She was quiet. We walked around. She didn't see anything. We got back in the car. There was only this floor. We hadn't put that there. The next tier or the next tier or the other 2 tiers. We wanted to stop at 3. I was convinced that we need to stop. Otherwise, this would be embarrassment. When we got home, my mother said, "Can I have a cup of tea?" Was the first word she said in hours. Then when she had drunk half of the cup, she said, "Adeolu." She didn't call me Pastor Paul. In other words, my son. That is a big project, which is, are you sure? It's too late now, Mom. We've already started. We can't leave it without finishing. You taught us to always finish what we start. Mom, I didn't start it all. It was your Father in heaven that started it. And then she said to me, "May God help you." Then she changed it and said, "God will help you." Amen. 13 years ago, it was finished. But we didn't build it at once. There were many milestones. And we kept feeding the flock elsewhere, combined services, and we hardly brought them here except at milestones. Now, this has modeled in at least GC about 10 other locations and 22 more loading. You understand? So that we can have a place to worship God. God doesn't live in buildings, he lives in you. The final story is 2 minutes. The 10 spies came back. They said it's not possible. We are small in our eyes, we are small in their eyes, and they are giants in our eyes. That's no faith at all. Yet God had spoken to them and told them, "I have given you the land, go and possess it." But for Joshua and Caleb, they said no. And they stilled the people and tried to convince them, otherwise they were inconvincible. That God swore that this generation will not enter the promised land. They wandered 1 year for every day of their rebellion, totaling 40 years. They all died out except Joshua and Caleb. And when Joshua was now to send out spies, he did not send 12. Because the likelihood that you have at least one Judas. In their case, Moses had 10. It was very high, so instead he sent 2 trusted men and told them to go and spy out the land. Not only did they spy the land, they also created a joint integrated strategy with a kingpin in the land who became a great forebear of Jesus Christ, and yet she was a harlot. You understand? And those men, because of the kind of leaders Joshua and Caleb were, who had a different spirit, they were able to possess the land. And when Joshua got to the precipice, it was time to take Jericho. Jericho was mightily walled up. They had seen it before. They say you could raise chariots on their wall. It was as they had initially said. But Joshua was not scared. Neither were his men scared. Because his spirit was on the men. Whereas the spirit of the 10 tribes had the spirit of negativity and fear. But the spirit of Joseph, that's the father of Nun, the father of Joshua, and